It is another edition of the On the Mic podcast, and it is the UFC 277 preview show. Gotta stay on track, and don't have Kelly Murphy for another one of these. However, we don't call substitutes or replacements, but if you're on MMA Twitter, you know this man, and I was pretty stoked when he stepped up just out of nowhere to do this. He is. I know him as Ben Davis. You know him as Ben the Bane Davis. Ben, how are you?
I'm great, man. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. So yeah, man. I mean, listen. I first found you through some of the videos you were making. Great
Sure.
videos. I think it was the John Anik video. I found you through MMA Twitter. But you've had so much success in such a short time. Just how did you get into all of this, and what made you go that route in terms of putting yourself out there?
Yeah, well, it all started really when I got super dissatisfied with finance at ASU. And I was like, yeah, I really don't want to do this. Internships that I had, I didn't love, classes I wasn't really connecting with. And I've been a huge mixed martial arts fan for years. And I'd done broadcasting work in high school. So I was like, all right, there's an intersection, I think, of my skills. And with social media these days, everybody can be anything, right? So I was like, okay, we'll see where it goes. And yeah, the John Anik video, that definitely did a lot to get the name out there. But
What is it? So, I mean, anyone on MMA Twitter knows like there's characters, right?
sure,
But there's a
yeah.
difference in being a character and also being someone who wants to be in the media space. Not
Yeah.
everyone can be a character. We know of a few that have kind of risen their way up to the top in character, but it's not for everybody. So, what was it about you where you were like, yeah, I can not just character, but I can kind of put myself out there. I can kind of just, dude, it takes balls to make the videos that you make, 'cause
Yeah,
there's gonna be
no.
reactions either way.
There's been a lot of times where I'll post something and then I am very hesitant about whether or not it'll be received well. And typically, like it has been, I've been able to figure out what the audience and market on Twitter looks like. But I don't know, I think that that's why I have the Ben the Bane Davis, because usually in the beginning it was just the Bane and I really didn't integrate my identity a whole heck of a lot. But I think that I really do have the skills and abilities to have a place within the grander landscape of mixed martial arts media, and whether that be working on broadcast booths with promotions or doing XYZ or something. I think I have those skills. And so the whole character thing, I think that buys in people and it's intriguing, but I'm hoping, right, by doing more professional serious work that people understand, it is not just a character, it's a moniker, but there's a lot more to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I honestly think you do well on both sides, right? I think the Bane is freaking amazing. And I think the stuff that you do, I feel like I would DM you during every Bellator press conference virtually, because I would be ready to ask a question and you would have it first, and then you would take the same question. And that's just, and I'm not saying every question I ask is great, but what I am saying is that you know what you're talking about. Sometimes people want to stay in character or forget where they are. I mean, I'm not saying Bellator in particular, but there are promotions that consider themselves the upper echelon of MMA promotions, and they let anybody and everybody have a microphone, and that's not great.
It's not,
there's a reason why NFL and NBA and all the pro sports in America here, there's a reason why it's heavily regulated PR.
Yeah,
because we don't want
selective.
John from down the street who drinks beers at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and 10 o'clock in the morning on Sundays to ask Tom Brady, how come he threw an interception? Like, we don't want that.
And the thing about MMA media specifically is within those Bellator media days or PFL or other organizations, there's just so many of the same questions. And this is a complaint that I hear often. And it's one of the reasons why anytime that I do media work, it's supposed to be unique and fun, fresh, not entirely about the fights, because I can't even count on two hands the amount of times someone says, how's the weight cut going? What do you make of your opponent? Who are you training with? Who are your sparring partners? I'm like, do people really give a fuck? Do people care? Like, that's great that we have that, but John Morgan's got those, knocks them out of the park every time we get it out of the way. You know, you've got these people that can get those questions. Everybody else have something different, have something unique. It's just a waste of everyone's time when me and you know this, sitting on those calls, and it's 8 guys in a row that are asking the same shit. And it's like, I don't know. The thing that I find funny about media too is a lot of those guys will open up with, this is William Bringington from 94.7 KTR, you know, or this is, you know, Stevie Booth from the Kicking It podcast network. I'm like, why are you guys doing this big stupid intro? Just fucking ask your question.
Yeah. No, I've never truly felt like if you're in a press conference room, again, I'm going to go back to the pro, because
why are you self-promoting? Why are you self-promoting?
Right,
That's not the time and place.
Now, if you're a newspaper reporter or a radio reporter sent out to cover the NBA finals, and there's 100 media members in there, you may want to announce like who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, maybe that's different.
Yeah, maybe that's different, but I'll never forget, and it's no disrespect to the PFL, but I'll never forget last year being on a virtual call, and Anthony Pettis was, you know, the fighter to speak at the time. And someone was like, man, I would love to roll up with you one day. And I was like, oh, all right.
It's etiquette. No, and that's like, here's the thing, I'll never call myself a journalist. I don't have that classical training or conventional knowledge or a 4-year degree in journalism. So like, I don't pretend to know that. And there's definitely a lot of things that I've had to adjust and do. When I was out in California for Bellator 277, there was a couple of things that I did where, looking back, I was like, fuck, that was a bit amateur. And I was talking with Oscar Willis, and he sort of said the same things. And I was like, man, you know, okay, that's adjust and you move forward and just be better. That's what it is. But yeah, if you're on a media call, the last thing you want to do is to the fighters go, hey man, let's train sometime.
Yeah, dude. And then like, oh man, dude, I would just love to get high with you one day. Like, it's just okay. Like,
somebody said that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'll never forget it. It stood out so majorly to me. It's like one of those memories I'll never forget. But
burn it.
I do think there is a way to kind of go about this. And again, I'm not saying I'm perfect or you're perfect. Nobody in this media game is perfect. I've been so lucky to have some of the very best kind of mentor me along the way, because I talk about it all the time. I was a guy who covered freelance style, NFL, NBA, baseball once in a while. And then I was like, I'm not moving up anywhere. So I jumped into MMA, and I want to say 6 months in, I interviewed Ariel, so Helwani. And this is, you know, when he's at the top of the mountain, and he still is. I wasn't getting Adam Schefter on my podcast anytime soon, like when I was covering the NFL.
The accessibility is different.
I know everybody's got, you know, their views on certain people in MMA media, but to me, I did put Ariel in that Adam Schefter realm of MMA media in comparison to the NFL. Now, maybe not as big because the NFL rules all, but for me, it was quickly learning and kind of finding what angle and avenue I was going to take when talking to fighters. I think you've heard me 100 times already on these calls. I don't ask those questions. How's the weight cut? Who you training with? Who you cornering with? But I'm always listening, you know, and that's the one thing I think I've learned throughout this. I've been doing interviews since I was 17, but I've learned it should be a conversation. I should have 3 bullet point questions I want to ask, and then everything else is a conversation. For you, what is it? More importantly, we're not here to talk, you know, ethics and interviewing and podcasts, but if there is anyone I'd want to talk to about it, it's you, you know. But what is it that you specifically look for? Because I know for me, I look to tell the story of the person who you're watching inside the cage. What is going to make Kai Kara France fight Brandon Moreno again? Why is Amanda Nunes immediately going for this rematch? What is it about? And it may not be directly from Amanda or Kai Kara France or Brandon Moreno, but maybe it's their coach. Maybe it's their strength and conditioning coach. What is it that they see? What is the conversation they had that let them know this fight's going to be different? So what is it that you look for when talking to these fighters?
I think it depends whether it's a short form or a long form. If I'm in like a media day and we're in that scrum setting, I definitely look for things different than if I have a 45-minute, hour-long sit down with someone and you can chat and have those longer tangents and explore a lot more detail. So for those media days, what I typically do, and then again, it depends on the size. Like when I was going out there in person, to me, I was putting a lot more effort into research and getting the best questions. And that looked like hours of watching, reading every article. I mean, months, specifically for AJ McKee. I mean, I was trying to figure out the smallest details. There was a video of him outside of a hot dog store in California, and they had named a hot dog after him. I hadn't seen really any press about it, and I thought that was such a funny detail. And the video on YouTube had like a couple hundred views, so I was like, okay, this is very. I'm at the bottom of the barrel on the SEO of AJ McKee. So I felt like that'd be a good question because it's those small details. I want those little pops, that moment of recognition on a fighter's face. They're like, how the fuck did that person know that? That's kind of what I want in media day scrum settings because, it's refreshing for them, I think, when somebody puts in the time and effort and energy to find those details. They're like, oh, this guy's really making an effort, to maximize this. And it's such a departure from how's the weight cut? What do you make of your opponent? That it's just more fun and fresh. And again, because I'm not a fucking journalist, I'm not going to go about it in the conventional method or the most professional way. I'm going to do it the best way I know how. And that has caused problems. But I don't give a fuck. Like I'm doing it the best way I know can. And if you've got a problem with it, I don't really care.
I love it, dude. I remember the first, cause I've tried to take the professional route and I remember
doesn't work. It doesn't.
I remember the first time I was staying true professional. I'll say two. One, I won't name the fighter. The other one I will. Mm-hmm. But one, it was a heavyweight fight. A guy no longer fights in the UFC, but he was trying to sell tickets because it was a clear mismatch. And I'm like, what do you expect to do inside the cage? Come sack. So you know what I expect to do? And I don't care where you know this guy from or but. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then he texted me afterwards. He's like, hey man, I just got to sell tickets. And I was like, all right, man.
All
like,
for the business. All for the business. Yeah.
And then the other one, Kevin Holland, way back, in the beginning of his UFC career, he had asked me a question like, if your girl gives you a little something, are you just going to be okay with a little something? Or you're going to want a lot more. And I was like, I get, for me though, I'll take those questions back. I'll have those 10-second funny moments because then when I come back to you about something serious, you'll respect.
You're open to it. Exactly. Yeah. And you're like, it's kind of like going in the shallow end and then you get to the deep end. Yeah.
I'm an idiot because I remember when you talk about AJ McKee, I remember covering his fight against Pat Curran. And I don't know this to be fact, but based off of dates and history, I feel like I was the first person he said that Floyd Mayweather line to. I know it kind of came to light when he was beating Pitbull for the title and all of that. But when he was saying he wanted to be the Floyd Mayweather of MMA, I was looking it up and I'm like, damn, he said that to me back in Chicago when he was fighting Pat Curran.
Did you kick yourself because you were like, that was such a golden line and I didn't capitalize on it enough at that time? Yeah. Yep. Why kick yourself? Come on. I mean, it might have been a missed opportunity, but in the grand scheme of it all, okay.
Yeah.
It happens.
Exactly.
Like
no, exactly.
You can't beat yourself up.
I wanted to have you on though, because dude, I think, and unnamed or named, I don't care. I think my biggest critics, even if they're my friends, would say the worst thing about me in this show is it's not consistent enough. And there's outside factors that kind of contribute to that. But a lot of it is like, damn, I don't have that one, or I don't have this, or I didn't get that. And then it kind of just screws with my head. And then I pull all the way back. So for me, I want us to go a different route and just kind of how I feel talking to you. It's never from a spot of envy. It's a spot of, damn, like I want to ride momentum and I want to ride the focus train that Ben's on or that so-and-so is on. And there are people and I'm not just saying this because you're here. There are people that I watch and I'm like, man, if I just had that consistency, you know what I mean? And I think that's the thing is what we're talking about MMA media, like to cover the sport, there's fights every week. So you got to be able to turn around and you can talk about how bad it sucked for Tom Aspinall and that knee injury. But now we got 2 title fights at UFC 277 and like in radio.
And that's specifically if you're just a UFC focused guy, right? You got fights every week. If you're MMA as a whole, oh my God. I mean, there's events happening probably every fucking day. So,
what did we have last week? We had Bellator. We had, I believe, Cage Warriors. We had UFC. We had Contender Series on Tuesday. We got to turn all that around, and we got a 2 title fight card to talk about. And obviously, that is why you're here.
Yes.
And, and it's UFC 277. And man, this is one of those cards to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but this is one of those cards for me that the names aren't stacked top to bottom. This is not UFC 280. But usually when it's not UFC 280 heavy stacked and heavy booked, that means less expectations and that means a lot more surprises. So I'm very excited about this card.
I think anytime you have a pay-per-view, the expectation is more than a fight night. Obviously, that's why you're paying $75. And I understand the sentiment about why this specific pay-per-view hasn't been received as well. Sadly, right, we understand that whenever, women headline cards, people are typically more negative, which is a fucked up reality, I think, that the MMA world is just at right now. And hopefully it's going to evolve. And it should. Their first fight was amazing, and it was a great clash and a massive upset. And so this second one should be very much looked forward to. But when you get deeper into the card, yeah, it's a little bit weak, but like we were talking about before the recording, there are some really entertaining matchups. And as you mentioned, whenever you aren't really expecting fireworks from a card, that's probably when they're going to happen. So I'm excited either way.
Well, before we break down the main card fights and we'll give picks for the main card, I just want to throw this out there before we even get into it. I'm calling this card the gotta have it card, right? Because, and I really do think if you look at especially the main card fights, every fight on that card, somebody's got to have it for one way or another to affect their career. I mean, we're not going to jump right into it, but I'll just start with, you're not going to tell me a guy like Anthony Smith going up against, what is he, a 4-1 underdog right now? And maybe higher than that. And this is a guy who fought for a title. You're not going to tell me a freaking focused, fired up Anthony Smith isn't worth watching?
Who's on a 3-fight win streak, all finishes against Tamagotchi Ankalaev, who's coming off of some very disappointing, boring performances, yet is, biggest favorite of the card. That 205-pound matchup, there's a lot to get into. But
I want to start with this. And we talked about the market value, right? We talked about on paper. Now, you talked about women headlining, especially a pay-per-view event, not perceived well for whatever fucked up reason that is in the public by casual fans. They're absolutely moronic. If you feel that way, do me a favor, send me the 75 or
I'll take that 75. And
if you think, oh, this is stupid, I don't want to watch these two, then you're a moron and you don't understand what you're watching. I will pull back the curtain on this main event, and I will say before, and this is not me picking favorites or anything like that, but before the first fight in December, I was at a buddy's house and I texted one of Juliana's coaches. If I know coaches, I kind of go make it a thing to reach out on fight day, wish them all the best. Yeah. And he said, "I'll see you in Chicago with the belt." And I was like, okay. And my buddy and my buddy's house that I was at, he goes, "I'm betting the house on Nunes." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And it's just one of those things where you just never knew. But then to talk about the market value, right? When you look at that fight, and when you go back, you listen to the commentary, how quickly DC knew Juliana had that choke, how quickly Amanda Nunes tapped. The only thing, it's not the women headlining the card that hurts the market value. It's the narrative of, does Amanda Nunes want it? Is she going to come out with her hair on fire? Does she truly care about being champion? She has another belt. And I think that is how you can critique this card. Not, oh, there's two women fighting in the main event.
Right. No, and that's how it should be looked at, right? The context for her legacy, reputation moving forward. And, Megan pointed out some great stuff about why Amanda might have lost that first fight. Again, she hadn't cut down to bantamweight in 2 years. She had COVID during the training camp. We know how that's affected athletes in the past, and their performances have been suffering because of it. So, I think that the intangibles of their first meeting, have been heavily underrated moving forward. When you look at that fight, you don't really hear people say, okay, she hasn't cut down to that weight class in a significant period of time. She was dealing with some things. So coming into the second one, she said she's 100% healthy. And that's another narrative that's interesting to me, because again, is she going to come out hair on fire? Is she going to come out as we expect her to? Heavy-handed, strong, athletic. She hasn't really had too many cardio problems in the past. I don't think she's looked great. And I don't know. I mean, I just think that it should be more exciting of a matchup. I don't know who is going to win, honestly, because stylistically, right? Payne's got a great style to beat her. That wrestle focus is what's caused Amanda problems in the past. The only thing that's really caused Amanda problems in the past are these chain wrestlers. So it's really just going to depend on whose game plan works again, and if Amanda's completely healthy, like she says she is.
Plus, not only game plan again for Pena, but different game plan for Nunes, right? She left American Top Team.
She's got her own gym. Yeah.
And she's doing it her own thing. And that's where it becomes kind of a big question mark for me. The biggest question mark of them all is your coaches were certified, verified, and just the utmost professionals at American Top Team. Not to take away from our coaches now, right? But when you get so wrapped up internally about, I got to change this, I got to change that, I got to change this. Do you have to change all that? We'll find out Saturday, but were those changes necessary?
Well, it's interesting because when you talk about those mega gyms like American Top Team or AKA or, Extreme Couture, you've got so many athletes that are there that even though these are the world-class coaches, you might not get that much time with them. You know what I mean? So the fact that she, as a, former bantamweight and featherweight champion, now simply featherweight, gets this individualized attention and everything is about her, I feel it has to help. We've seen it historically help. When Colby went to MMA Masters, I believe, and then he came back, his performance showed great improvements. So I think that the narrative of, oh, she's losing all these world-class coaching, she's leaving this gym, can you look deeper into it? I just think it always was going to boil down to these athletes wanted more about them. They want that individualized experience during their fight camps, and they weren't getting it at these massive gyms. It was great getting to the UFC and getting to the top in those environments because of the, myriad of training partners that you had. But now maintaining that, staying at the top, I think you need more of that intimate environment and where it is all about you. And you're not waiting, sitting, watching other people get pad work with your coaches and you're on the sidelines.
I know we'll start with the first card on the main, or the first fight on the main card, but we're going to work top to bottom here. Yeah. I know you said you don't know who's going to win this fight, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Who do you got, Amanda Nunes or Juliana Pena?
I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with Nunes. I think that she's going to walk in here and it's going to be a return to form. I think that the striking of Pena is quite fundamental, but it's still developing for that wrestling base that she has. Amanda's a striker first. And so I think she's going to come out here, string it together. Remember, she had a great first round against Juliana back in December. It was that second round that things fell apart. So I think that it's just going to be a again, return to form. That belt's going back to the Brazilian.
I'm going to actually ride with you as well. I'm going to take Amanda Nunes to get the belt back. And listen, I'll say this though, and I'm not, Yanni the Greek, but
the GOAT, baby. I love Yanni.
if you've got the money, I wouldn't be mad at anyone hedging their bet on this main event.
Because the thing is, Connor Burks put out this great statistic where new champions in immediate rematches, like 11 out of 13 times retain. You know what I mean? So historically, Juliana is on the right side of history, but you're going up against the greatest female mixed martial artist of all time. Look at GSP. When he lost, he came back and got it done on 2 separate occasions. So I put her on that category, and I just think that she's going to get that double champ status back.
Co-main event, UFC interim flyweight championship, Kai Kara France, Brandon Moreno. For my money, all due respect, it is the fight of the night on paper for me, mainly because little guys unite. I got to stand up for the little guys. If I stand up, it's not much, but
how tall are you? How tall are you?
My license says 5'8", but it's definitely like 5'7". Yeah,
that same category. I'm
yeah. So, but honestly, what I think, we've got everyone's favorite darling and Brandon Moreno, and everyone's new favorite killer at 125 and Kai Kara France. I mean, he's got the name, he's got the look, he's got the team behind him with, Eugene Behrman and obviously Israel Adesanya, his teammate, and everybody else around him. But Brandon Moreno is no joke, and Brandon Moreno is not battle tested. He's war tested, Ben. And I think this fight, it checks all the boxes on paper, and they've fought before. They've both gotten incredibly better. And really, what does it all lead to? Like, where does this, we know where they should go. We know where this interim flyweight title should go, but what is Davidson Figueiredo really scheming for his future? So I think there's so much more. This is why I call it the gotta have it card. You want, in the main event, you want Juliana Pena to cement her legacy. I know she wants that. Amanda Nunes wants to get back her legacy. Obviously, everyone knows that. Now, these two guys, Brandon Moreno, should be champion, depending on who you ask, could be champion depending on who you ask. And Kai Kara France is a true, legitimate #1 contender, in my opinion.
It's really interesting because you look at Kai's last 3 fights following that submission loss to Brandon Royval, and I don't know if I'd say it's on the level of what Moreno's been up against the last couple of years. Cody Garbrandt obviously has not looked fantastic since that Cruz victory way back in 2016. It's just been a decline. And then Rogerio Bontorin, great win, but again, I don't think that that's on that same platform of the caliber of opponent that Brandon's been up against. Askar Askarov's great. I think that that's a solid win. But Askar looked horrendous in that fight. and it was not impressive from him. With all due respect, it was one-way traffic on the feet for Kai Kara-France. You go up and see what Brandon's been doing the last couple of years. The refights with Davis and Figueiredo, the most powerful puncher at that weight class, the boogeyman of that division, and they're 1-1-1. Then he beats Brandon Royval, who again submitted Kai. And so I'm like, I don't know. And then I just watched their first fight a couple days ago, and it was not good for Kai Kara-France. After that first round, he stung Brandon with some good right hands. I expect that to also play into their rematch. I think that right hand's going to present itself. But over 5 rounds, I don't know. Kai's gas tank is the question here, because their first fight, he declined rapidly in rounds 2 and 3. You have this going to the championship rounds. Brandon's, as you said, battle tested over 25 minutes. I just see Moreno decision written all over this one. I think it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be a great scrap fight of the night. Absolutely. But Kai is not used, outside of that Askarov fight, he's not used going these long distances into the deep waters these last couple of years, especially in a 5-round fight. I just think Brandon's got a lot more ways to win.
Oh, and I don't disagree with that at all. I will play devil's advocate though, and the right hand lands, you don't need that much time. So if Kai Kara-France can find him early and catch him early, but again, like you said, there's so many more ways for Brandon Moreno to win this fight. I'm going to take the dog here. Not for any particular reason. I do think Kai Kara-France has improved since their first fight, and yes, knocking out Cody Garbrandt at 25-35 or 265 pounds doesn't come with much of a feather in the cap anymore, unless you're the UFC matchmakers. You beat the name,
right?
You get the bigger opportunity. If you succeed at that opportunity, you get yourself a title shot, and that's where we are. So I don't think knocking Cody out makes him a number 1 contender, but I think seeing vast improvements in his game, and it really is, however, going to come down to if that right hand lands. I think it can change, because outside of being battle tested, that also means your body's been through it. And right. Not to take anything away from Brandon Moreno, so he has a weak chin. He obviously doesn't. I don't know many people who can go through hell and back like Brandon Moreno can. But, after time, those wars start to wear on you. And I'm not saying tonight or Saturday night's going to be the night, but Kai Kara-France has the power and the talent. If he catches him, we could see an upset here.
It'd be the first time that Moreno's been finished in his professional career. He's only lost by decision on 6 occasions. And again, over 25 minutes, I just feel that favors the Mexican. And the thing is, right, everyone's been talking about Kai's improvements. That's true. He's improved. So has Brandon Moreno. Maybe there's not as many wrinkles in the game of the assassin baby that he's added, but he's clearly been improving and growing and developing and honing in skills. So I keep hearing this narrative, this Kai's better. So is Brandon. It's a couple of years removed from it, but in that first fight, Brandon Moreno decisively won. And outside of that power in round 1 that Kai has, he just didn't have those answers. Maybe he does now. I'm a historical track record kind of guy. I got to ride with Brandon in the co-main event, but we'll see. Again, it's going to be a fun one either way.
If you're listening to this, take Ben's advice. If you're gambling, don't take mine.
Don't take my advice, dude. I have not made any money off of gambling. It's a fucking joke. Whenever I post a parlay or some bet, I know it's gonna fail somehow. Even if I'm so confident, I know that it's somehow gonna get busted. I'll tell you what.
I just want you to be the guy who gets the angry Instagram.
Oh, that's true. Fuck you.
Yeah, I just want
my DMs are gonna get lit up now
because like me taking Kai Kara-France, no disrespect to Kai or Brandon Moreno, but if I sell people on taking Kai, and then he wins, and I'm like, I told you so. But if they lose, I'm like, why'd you bet on the underdog? Yeah. Why are you taking my advice?
2-1 dog. Why are you betting on him?
Why would you listen to me? I'm a moron. But if that's the fight of the night on paper, everyone's favorite fight of the night, favorite fighter of the night is in our 3rd fight of the evening, and that is Derek Lewis against Sergey Pavlovich. I mean, Pavlovich 1 loss in his career, but
right.
Derek Lewis has got different type of power. And I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I think a laid back, easygoing Derek Lewis is the most dangerous Derek Lewis. When he doesn't feel any pressure, when he doesn't really have to care about spotlight or main events or even fight night main events, when he could just walk in, beat somebody up, probably knock him out and walk out, I think that's when Derek Lewis is at his most dangerous.
This is in Dallas, Texas, which is obviously Lewis's home state. I'm going to fade
Houston,
him.
though.
That doesn't matter. Fuck, it doesn't matter. I could literally just say, because this takes place in Texas, do not bet on Derek Lewis. I could just say that and have it, period, end of my analysis. But Sergey represents, I think, that this new breed of heavyweight, like the Tom Aspinall, the Cyril Gans, where they're very mobile. They've got a lot of speed in those punches. And again, historically, that's what Derek Lewis doesn't like. You look at the Junior Dos Santos fight. You look at the first round against Curtis Blades. He's uncomfortable when you're pressuring him against the cage and you're keeping a range and you're popping him with shots. And eventually he folds and quits. I hate to say it, but that's just seemingly what happens. And against a guy like Sergey, who has 5 inches of reach on Derek Lewis and will come forward and pressure, I just don't see, outside of another big out of nowhere KO, what Lewis can do. Now, again, he's done that so many times that it is difficult to bet against him and say, oh, well, lightning can't strike twice. Lightning struck like 18 times for this guy. So it is difficult to bet against him. But at 37 years old and kind of a decline in his performances and his ability to fight his way back in and make that magic happen, I'm just going to bet on the young buck. It's a big, big test. Lewis has fought the best in the world at that weight class. And he's come up short, and he's won on several occasions. So the caliber of opponents definitely with Lewis. I just rate Sergey high. Granted, before his last fight, he was gone for 2 years. So there's so many question marks. The smart bet's probably Derek Lewis. I just don't like him in this fight. And it's in Texas.
No, all great and valid points. I think this goes back to my title of this event, right? Got to have it, right? Pavlovich, you beat a guy who's fought for an interim title. Obviously, you improve your incredible record. Like you said, a young buck up and coming. I mean, just fully can cement himself at the top of this division, beating a guy like Derek Lewis. And for Derek Lewis, listen, I don't even want to throw this out there. MMA Twitter, don't kill me. But like, who's to say, or who's not to say that another loss and he's like, I don't need this shit no more.
Right.
Like, we've seen it so much recently where some of our favorite fighters to ever compete are just like, yeah, I just can't get up anymore. Like, I don't wake up for the same reasons when it comes to training camp anymore. And listen, I think that's on the table. I don't know anything, haven't heard anything. He looks very calm and happy, during this fight week, and seeing the media scrums. He's going at every member of the media ever in his media day yesterday. But I think he's got to have it too. If you want to stay around and you want to be at the top, like, if you're okay just kind of being there, showing up and beating people up, if you want to be the heavyweight Cowboy Cerrone, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But Donald lasted for a long time also because of his weight class. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take all those shots, and you're putting your body through a much different toll. And I don't need Derek Lewis to ever turn it into Dada 5000.
Right.
Like I don't need terrible fights, horrible matchmaking, and health issues because you just wanted to keep fighting. So I think Saturday night we find out against a very, very talented young and up and coming fighter if Derek Lewis still wants to do this or not, if he still wants to be at the top or not.
And it's interesting that we have those questions, because when we look at the numbers, right, Lewis is 5 in his last 7, which is pretty good, all things considered. And so you're like, how are we arriving at this conversation? It's because those losses are bad. The loss against Tuivasa, the loss against Gane. He's been finished in 6 out of his 9 losses by KO. Pavlovich has 12 of 15 wins by KO. Right? You just look at the numbers, and it's like, again, Derek's fought better competition consistently for a number of years, but the ways that he's lost, I just feel, are the ways that Sergey has been winning. And I hope that Derek Lewis sticks around. He's a fun fighter. He's super entertaining and comedic. But yeah, to that point, you just don't want to see these guys take punishment that they don't really need to. And a couple more losses like that tied to Tuivasa one, I don't want to see that.
And more so to your point, you talked about just kind of covering up and kind of finishing it on his own.
Yeah.
Though that's what makes me concerned about Derek Lewis and his fighting future. When you're just kind of giving up and well, I'll go back to not even just the finish. How many times is he hesitant in the octagon? Like and sometimes it's a cat and mouse game, but a lot of times he's just like, I didn't have it.
And it's like, I don't know if I can look too deeply into that, the shelling up and then does he still want to do this? Because he's been shelling up for years in his losses. You know what I mean? The Junior Dos Santos one, the Volkov fight, I think he was very close to that same breaking point of giving up. Luckily, he found that shot and was able to put together in the last minute. But I just, it's tough to sort of know where Derek's headspace is at, because when you look at the media day, he's clearly very composed, just having fun, making fun of people. And it's like, okay, what do we really garner from it? And like you said, we're just going to find out Saturday night. And I think win or lose, we'll have a better idea. And I think it's going to be a loss. So maybe that'll speed things along in terms of his future. But
so far, for those of you keeping track, we've got Ben with Amanda, Brandon, and Sergey. 2 fights left. I know we don't have all the time in the world, but I do appreciate you making time for me. In your very busy schedule. A big fight at flyweight obviously makes sense, right? You know, interim belt on the line. You got Alexandre Pantoja against Alex Perez. How do you see this fight playing out?
Man, Perez has been on the sidelines for a couple of years. We don't know what version of him is going to come in following that submission loss to Davison Figueiredo. He just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. I know that flyweight isn't a weight class that gets a lot of marketing or attention. I'm glad that that's been changing within the last couple of years due to Brandon Moreno and Davison Figueiredo's fights largely. But there's just a lot of questions about Alex Perez. You move over to the side of Pantoja, he's kind of been answering some questions. Beats Manel Cape by decision. Cape is a high prospect that a lot of people are very excited about. And so that's a big win. Submits Brandon Royval. I like Raw Dog a ton. I think he's one of the most entertaining fighters on the roster, not even just at that weight class. And so win over him, I think is very important. And he's just fought more recently. So we just know a little bit more about what version of Pantoja is going to come in. I honestly, in terms of like a prediction for this one, have zero fucking clue. I haven't really followed either of these guys too often, you know what I mean? Or been too familiar with their fights. So I'm not going to pretend like I'm a genius. I've got their shirt dogs up right here. I would want to go with Pantoja because feels like the momentum's on his side. Obviously, he hasn't been on the sideline since 2020. But again, Alex Perez has been impressive in the past. So it's a toss-up. I think. What is the line? Do you know what the odds are for this one?
I do not, but I can try and find it very quickly.
I was gonna say it probably is tight as fuck.
Say Pantoja's the favorite.
Yeah.
Just to make it fun, I'm taking Derek Lewis in our last fight.
Okay.
Just to make it fun.
I'm gonna text you when he loses and be like, hey man, I tried.
Please do. Trying to pull up now, courtesy of FanDuel. Maybe I'll get a sponsor for telling everyone who I bet with. Probably not. Right. But let's see here. It's not exactly a pick 'em, but I've got Alex Perez as of today, a plus 148 and Pantoja minus 192.
That feels lined fairly. I would say Pantoja a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Almost a 2-1 favorite against the former title challenger who, again, a lot of intangibles, X factors. We don't know what Alex Perez is going to walk into the cage. So I would, if I were going to line it again, and this is based off of like nothing because I have no idea how they do it, I'd be like, minus 140, plus 135. That feels like a better line.
I like it. I'm going to ride with you on this. I think Pantoja is the safer pick here. Mm-hmm. We just got to see what Alex Perez shows up. Don't be surprised if he is able to pull it off, but I'm going to go with Pantoja here as well. And finally, Ben, our last one I'm very excited for because again, I've known Anthony Smith for so long due to guys like James Krause, Mark Montoya. And I remember my favorite Anthony Smith story is when he fought Rashad Evans at UFC 225, I believe, in Chicago. I did some fight week interviews with him, kind of off to the side. Again, one of those moments I'm kicking myself because I never kind of truly ran with it.
Right.
We sat down and we're doing a video interview. And I said, how do you see this fight going? He goes, no, against Rashad. He goes, I knock him out first round, probably with a knee. And then quick story, when I got hired at SiriusXM and Anthony was working our show, I still had the audio on my phone. And he's like, send me that right now. Fuck it. It's the Anthony Smith. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And when he did exactly what he said he was going to do, I remember hearing him walk back to the locker room just yelling, told you. And I'm like, damn. All right. So listen, Anthony Smith's a guy. Here's how I look at it. If that guy can never count himself out, because we know fighters do count themselves out in fights, even though they won't come out and say it, their performance sometimes shows it right away. Anthony Smith's been like counted out in his last 3. You know, we talked about it early.
He's the consummate underdog. He is always booked on the plus side of things, which is ridiculous. But, you know, again, admittedly, there are some areas in the game that have been exploited by other people, right? The Glover Teixeira fight comes out too quick. You could say that might have been on the corner for tossing as many directions out, really going a billion miles an hour in the first 5, and then Glover takes over. The Rakic fight, that's the one that is the biggest concern to me coming into this, because Magomed Ankalaev is a very accomplished wrestler. Obviously, he comes from that side of the world where it's just that discipline is elite. Granted, he's not as big of a takedown guy as you would think. You look at the stats on it, he's only shooting once, twice, I think 3 times max in like his last 8 fights or something. And so it's not like he's chain wrestling and everything, he's diving, but he's pressuring, right? He's coming forward, he's putting you against the cage, and you're always concerned about that, right? Which is the narrative that we hear with wrestlers all the time. And the Rakic fight, we saw Smith get taken down and controlled. I think there was like 11, 12 minutes of control for Rakic. Granted, boring fight. I was very unhappy with how Alexander really approached that. Zero urgency or attempt to get anything going in terms of a finish, but he controlled it. And I just think Magomed Ankalaev can also do that. Now, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu of Smith is something that is also worth mentioning. You know, he's got 33 finishes and 36 wins, half of those being submissions. Magomed Ankalaev's, I think, 1 loss in the UFC, his debut against Paul Craig, gets submitted at the last second. I think Smith's BJJ is as good as Craig's on that same level, but that was a long time ago for Magomed Ankalaev. He's clearly a different fighter. It's just it's a bit of a toss-up. And the only thing that I can really critique and say objectively this is stupid is that line. 4-1 underdog against a former title challenger, 3-fight win streak, 3 finishes over a very game Devin Clark. Jim Crew, which you could say perennial nerve, interesting finish, but that's still a W. And then the Ryan Spann. So I don't think that he should be lined at a 4-1 underdog. That being said, Magomed's been perfect since that loss to Paul Craig. He's beaten Thiago Santos. He's beaten Volkan Oezdemir. He's beaten Nikita Krylov, Iwan Kudalaba, Dalcha. It's like he should be the favorite. And honestly, he has a lot more ways to win, and I think he's going to. But I'm picking Smith by submission. Fuck it.
I like it. I'm going to ride with you on that one for kind of pretty much all the reasons you just said. And listen, like you talk about the pressure and everything. Factory X and Mark Montoya, their striking is on a whole nother level. And I know that team loves elbows. And you know what happens when people start shooting or try to get in on you? Right. Elbows. And then if the fight goes to the ground, just like you said, I love Anthony Smith on the ground. Like his BJJ it's underrated and a little disrespected. So you know what? I think this main card sets up for 5 fights with 10 fighters who all have something to prove and 2 titles on the line. Ben the Bane Davis. I'm taking Anthony Smith as well. You're at Ben the Bane Davis on Twitter and Instagram. What do you have coming up that you want to promote?
I've got a big project in September, biggest one that I am trying to attempt. So be on the lookout for that one. It's going to come out late September. Obviously, got PFL from August 1st to the 6th. Somebody rolling out a lot of fight week content, some interviews, hopefully some more fun sketches. We'll see if Anthony Perez wants to do them. We'll find out. But just, that's it. There's not a ton.
Thank you for stepping up and doing this today. Hope I can have you back on. And I look forward to that Saturday night text about the Derek Lewis fight.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.